I'm more focused on what God wants me to achieve in a particular season. Anything that truly stretches you will scare you at first. So that fear is not that, oh, you're not incompetent, just that your mind has never done this before. So of course, it switches into protection mode as opposed to exploration. A person surrounded by 5 fools becomes the 6th. So your conversations shape your thinking and your environment shapes your performance. Remember that bad morals ruin good character. I've seen well-meaning people derailed by this. If you don't decide, you've still decided. So make one. Own the consequences. That's how you learn to trust yourself. Gotta love, gotta love, gotta love one another. 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 Hey family, welcome back to the Grace and Glow Up podcast. First, let me start with a sincere apology for being away for a little while. I know it's been quite quiet on this side, but trust me when I say a lot has been cooking and I cannot wait to share what's coming next with you. But I want to take this episode as a reflective one. We are officially closing season 2, and at the same time, I'm preparing for season 3, which actually starts next week. Yes, we're going back to back. And I couldn't think of a better way to bridge the 2 seasons than with a conversation. So if you're new here, hey family, welcome back to the Grace and Glow Up podcast. I'm your host, Ivy Kashero, and this is a platform where faith meets real life and purpose turns into influence. Here we explore kingdom identity, market excellence, and leadership principles that empower millennials and Gen Zs to live holy, spiritually, mentally, and physically. The idea is our vision is simple but deep, to help people live aligned lives where faith, identity, and career and relationships don't compete with each other, but work together. So this season, we've been leaning into identity, who we are before titles and all of that. So in today's conversation, I want us to talk about a reflection of the lessons that we've learned in season 1 and 2. So if you're new here, we're currently on the 22nd episode since I first launched Grace and Glow, our podcast. And so I want to take this opportunity I wanted to share 22 lessons that I've learned in 21 episodes of production, but I realized let me get into doing this by just using 26 because we are in 2026. So I titled this episode 26 Lessons for 2026. And I'd want to start with some. So some of these lessons are things I've been pondering on. Some of these lessons are things that I've learned as we've recorded the episode, having conversations with different people. So I'll get right into it. And in fact, if you've got any that I talk about that, that I haven't mentioned and you've got your other lessons, please share them in the comment as we gear up to, learning and unlearning and getting into the new season. So I'll get right into it. For me, lesson 1 was chance favors a prepared mind. I think I've come to the realization that it is better to be prepared for an opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be ready. And I think what a lot of us don't, some of us opportunities miss us because we fantasize about getting opportunities, but we don't do the work in preparation for those opportunities. And so when those opportunities come, we're just not the fit candidates for those opportunities. And one of the things I've also realized is that opportunities don't announce themselves. Preparation is what allows you to recognize them. So if you're aiming to become, a well-known painter, it's until you start painting that your mind and the circumstances around you gear you more closer towards painting opportunities because you're already in the system. And similarly, when it comes to other things, just being able to prepare, even if the opportunity hasn't arrived yet. So in 2026, whatever it is that you want to do, whatever it is that you feel that you're not yet competent enough for, do what it is that you need to be doing now to prepare for that opportunity when it arises, that you will be ready. Second lesson was, Growing up, I think in school prepared us for titles and careers and responsibilities, things that, when you go to school, you're taught, okay, you're going to school because you want to be a doctor, a nurse, an engineer, and whatnot. At home, as ladies and girls or men, we were told this is what men do at home, this is what women do at home. But with a little of life experience, I've realized something deeper that matters way more. Clarity on the impact you want to make and the reason why makes a huge difference. When you're not clear on that, you can become whatever the season requires to capture onto opportunities. But when you're so fixated on titles, you don't tend to grasp this. So for me, I think a reflection that I've had is that I'm more focused on what God wants me to achieve in a particular season. And so if in this season, what God is asking me to do is do the podcast, then podcasting it is. And if in the next season, God asks me to do something else, is it, grow within my career in different facets or get into a new industry, that is exactly where I'll be placed. My identity doesn't necessarily come from a title that I get in an office or a title that the community and the society gives me. It's the impact that I'm able to make. So you can call me whatever you need to call me, but the mission remains the same. And lesson 3 for me is reinvention is inevitable. Anything that does not grow is dying. And therefore, growth is not optional. Growth is not optional. It's survival. When you constantly peg your life on just coasting and being in comfortable spaces, you get to realize that as much as you don't tend to have a lot of disruption around you, that slowly within yourself, as things are changing around you, you outgrow the space that you're currently in. And if you don't progress, you eventually just start to dwindle. Human beings and just life in general is created for growth. Individuals, plants, if you look at anything in nature, even animals are created for growth. So growth is not optional. Invest in that. Imposter syndrome is not a weakness, it's a signal. I think I came across a conversation that was shared by Stephen Bartlett, I think a while ago, where he talked about a similar conversation when it comes to imposter syndrome. But for me, one of the things that it's allowed me to do is every single time that I feel uncomfortable or I feel like I'm not supposed to be in a particular room, it just reminds me that I'm actually just being stretched, and not stretched in a negative sense, but stretched in a way that my mind isn't yet familiar with. And so it points to our areas where anything that truly stretches you will scare you at first. So that fear is not that, you're not incompetent. It's that just that your mind has never done this before. So of course, it switches into protection mode as opposed to exploration. But I think of it as when I first did skydiving, when we were going up and we were meeting at Marina, we all get into this plane. Of course, I'm used to getting into a plane and going up, so that wasn't even the scary bit. The scary bit is when your skydiving instructor is counting down for you to jump off the plane. That initial jump is where the fear is. But the moment you just get into the air and you feel that nice breeze, especially if you're doing this around this winter period, I did mine in December, there's that nice breeze of the wind and then there's the sun on your face. Oh my God. The beauty of the city is what strikes you, and it stops being a moment of fear and continues to be a moment of bliss where you're embracing nature, creation, and just the beauty of the experience in itself. Would I be able to do skydiving now? Yeah, sure. Would I be scared as I was the first time? I don't know. Maybe I would still be scared in the sense of safety, but also I don't think I would be scared enough to think that this is such a terrible experience or frightening like I did the first time. So therefore, embrace and face that fear. Enter those rooms. We often say, as a man thinketh, so is he. But here's another truth. A person surrounded by 5 fools becomes the 6th. So your conversations shape your thinking and your environment shapes your performance. Remember that bad morals ruin good character. I've seen well-meaning people derailed by this. So my suggestion is choose wisely. And on lesson 6, I'll say clarity precedes success. And I talk about this in a different forum where we talk about being able to focus on getting clarity so that you could be able to move. But without clarity, efforts become a lot of noise, especially in a saturated online life and activities that we are in now. There's so much activity that if you don't know where you want to go, how you want to go, the people online and the things and the noise around you is going to direct you into a direction you don't want to go. And therefore, clarity precedes success. For lesson 7, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life. And you will call it fate. I said that again. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And ironically, the reason why I say this is as a continuation from what I said earlier is that a lot of people go about life and things are thrown at them and experiences. And the argument is, oh, it is what it is. Life just happens. And I think, especially in Kenya, we tend to use this line a lot. It is what it is. To insinuate that there's nothing you could have done about it. The situation is just the way the situation is. And the reality of it is that we can be able to make conscious decisions to alter the kind of life and the destiny we want. But if you let the unconscious decide for you, then you will just keep coasting and then eventually say, it's fate, that life just happened and that's how it was supposed to happen. God gives us an opportunity to participate in the unfolding of our future. Don't throw it out to fate. Lesson 8, the most common form of despair is not being who you are. I think the pain of self-betrayal to me is one of the deepest pain there is. It's your mind slowly convincing you that you're not worthy fighting for. And in fact, I think watching yourself fade into an existence that isn't yours is even worse. Because this shows up in like the kind of jobs people take and the relationships they get into. And in some situations, those silent choices are the ones that eat us the most. And maybe that's why one of the most fundamental human desire is to feel seen and understood, you know. And I hope you can think about that the most common form of despair is not being who you are. Focus on ensuring that you don't betray yourself. Because some of us, we betray ourselves but expect so much loyalty from those around us. Be loyal to oneself, then you could expect that from others. Sometimes people treat us the way we treat ourselves. In lesson 9, if you don't decide, you still decide. Remember I talked about fate earlier on and letting things just be. Indecision is a decision. In any area of your life, just know this one thing, that if you don't decide, you've still decided. So make one. Own the consequences. That's how you learn to trust yourself. Lesson 10. Learn to let people do what they would rather do. Any of my friends or anyone who's in my friend circle knows that I use this a lot. And the reason why I use this is we have a tendency to expect so much of people without them committing to those expectations. And then we get so disappointed when they don't fulfill our or meet our expectations. So when someone consistently shows you how they treat you, believe them. Trying to manage people into valuing you is exhausting and it's very unnecessary. So how about you just find people who their way of caring and showing love and support to you is just natural, so that you don't have to force people into doing things they would rather just not do, you know. In lesson 11, I would say stop comparing your life to other lives. Your journey is perfectly designed for you. I saw a meme that said, you're busy comparing your success to someone doing something illegal and you're feeling bad. And you know what's so funny is, like, I had a conversation with a friend of mine this week and we were talking about how So she runs a fashion business, and she was like, she sees other fashion brands, starting, opening multiple stores within the country. And what is the realization she then had, like when she goes into this backstories of this individual? Some of these individuals are dating highly influential business moguls and politicians, and she's like, she's trying to do honest work. So these other people are doing this out of passion, and she's trying to put food on the table. So you realize that our journeys are all different, and the kind of risks and the compromises that we all make are not the same. So sometimes doing success isn't just what we perceive in terms of material things. Success is also inward, because, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose their soul, right? That's that. For lesson 12, confidence is good, because I teach that as well. But the more success you produce, the more you should think like a beginner. Success makes most people very sloppy. That's actually a thing Robin Sharma says a lot. And because, well, I'm an avid student of Robin Sharma, I would say the same. But a scripture that comes to mind for me is 1 Corinthians 10:12, that says, when you think you are standing strong, be careful not to fall. Ain't that something? That when you think you're standing strong, be careful not to fall. That overconfidence can cost you. Overconfidence will cause you to overlook. In fact, I've always said that if you want to avoid temptation, the area that you will be tempted the most is the one that you have overconfidence in. So let your confidence be in God, not in your own human abilities. Lesson 13. Oh, I love this one. Romanticize your life. Romanticize your life. If you're like me, even when you're having an alcoholic thing, put that drink in that wine glass. Put on some nice candles and some nice fireplace aesthetics in the background. Enjoy. Go for that walk. I intentionally find joy for myself in small moments. I cannot lie to you. A cortado at Katrina outside my house after an early morning, lunch, or a cute date at a cute spot with a friend, or even sometimes a nice sunrise walk, which I currently is one of my faves post, or rather pre-paddle on Sundays, has become one of the things. And it's not that the activity in itself is grand. It's just that it grounds you in and gives you an opportunity to be present, and at the same time appreciate the mundane. You just think, I wake up every day, but the idea is you don't wake up every day, you get to wake up every day. So enjoy the sun, enjoy the breeze, take that walk, take that run, and make sure that you enjoy it to the fullest. The journey of life is what you do in the process. It's not a destination. Lesson 14. Please live for the applause of one. I said, live for the applause of one. In a world that is so obsessed with likes and followers, I know I tell you guys to like and follow my podcast and my YouTube videos, but my daily conviction is this. Does my private life glorify God? Intimacy with God comes first. The stage is simply an extension of that for me. So if you live for the applause of people, you'll be crushed by their silence. And for me, one of the things that I'm constantly reflecting on, even when I'm by myself, is what does God say about what I'm doing in my intimate time, or when I'm by myself, when nobody is there to see whether I'm living by the values and the principles that I talk about. And that, I'm not saying that I'm a perfect person, but I'm just saying at the core of it, my goal is to be better, not for you, but for the one and only King. And I pray that you live for the same, because there is where character is sharpened and matured. Because even if you put out a facade in front of people, what does it really do? It says nothing, because deep down your heart is not genuinely in the right place. Lesson 15. This one, you can take my advice, don't take it. You can say I'm superstitious, that's up to you. But keep ideas private while they are still maturing. Not everyone deserves access to your vision. Premature sharing can drain faith and derail execution. I'm not going to expound on that. I guess that's self-explanatory. Lesson 16. I Me who likes sleeping, rest is not a luxury. Please take that vacation. Please take those days off. Please take those sick offs. Please, it's a necessity. Looking after oneself, to fill one's cup before you pour out into the world is fundamental. And this is coming from me who people say I'm a workaholic. But this is coming from me because I have come to realize that sometimes we overextend ourselves, that we even forget to show up for those who are our loved ones. But at the same time, make sure you keep balance. Rest isn't you taking a nap. Rest isn't just you going on vacation. Rest is being able to quiet your mind and sit at the foot of the cross and be focused on listening to the voice of God. Spending time with God, meditation, journal, restructure where your direction for life is. Don't just go with the flow. Sometimes take moments to pause and think. Now, lesson 17. Oh my God, I can't believe we're almost done. We've got 9 more lessons, but lesson 17 is your body is a temple. Honor it. For those who follow me on Instagram, I'm constantly posting my gym pictures and whatnot. The main reason beyond wanting to have a badass body is, I think for me, when I think about the assignment that God has on my life, I understand the importance of why my body must be fit enough and healthy enough for me to fulfill what that call is on my life. And therefore, I'm very intentional about making sure that I'm healthy, not just by looking good, but making sure I eat the right food, I train, my health, my checkups are up to speed. And the reason being is, I don't think you could be able to do ministry or share or have an impact or influence or travel the world when your health is tampered with. Health is your most important asset, and your body is a pivotal point of that. So your body is a temple. Make sure you look at it, look after it well. And let me tell you one of the things, I know it's very biased, but you could tell people who honor their bodies and people who don't. Those who truly believe that their bodies are temples and those who haven't. So reflect. Are you honoring your body as a temple? And if you haven't, there's no pressure. There is always a starting ground. The journey is not about perfection. The journey is about focusing on the King. Lesson 18, set high standards. I'll say again, set high standards and keep them. Reject mediocrity. One of my previous bosses said that 80% is poor performance. And I think one of the things I learned at that time is 80% achievement of target, 80% of anything. In fact, in the kingdom of God, even 99.1% is a miss, because that's sin. It's anything deterrent from God's perfection is out of line. But when you look at it even in the worldly sense, when my boss said that 80% is poor performance, it made me realize that when you're surrounded by excellence, which I was at the time, you are forced to stretch. You cannot be around excellent people and still remain mediocre. Now, if you put an excellent person around mediocre people, as I told you, they're in for trouble. But there is no way you'll be surrounded by people who pursue excellence and remain mediocre. So everything that you do, if you're going to write that book, write it with the excellence. If you're going to release that song with excellence. If you're going to start a course, if you're going to mentor, if you're going to work at your job, for me, I show up at every area of my life, my job, my relationships, my friendships, despite the challenges that sometimes come with it. The goal for me is to pursue excellence. And I raise the standard for myself by being the standard. I'm not even putting other people under pressure. The responsibility and the standard is set by me. Sometimes the better, because some of the standards I have for myself are higher than the ones others have of me. So that's the privilege. Lesson 19. Your past explains you, but it does not justify staying the same. I'm tired of these therapy conversations of, I go for therapy, but I'm a bit thrown off by this therapized, how do I call it, society, if that's a word, and if it's not, I've made it up, where I think individuals diagnose themselves or identify things from their past and they hold on to those particular things instead of striving to be better or do different compared to the past that they've been through. If it's been 40 years since your childhood experience and you're still behaving the same, there's something wrong. There needs to be progress. We do understand that there are areas and some of our pastors creep up on us. But I do believe that we're even in a better time where we have tools and system and at least awareness to be able to work on these things and become better. So please seek to have knowledge, wisdom, and growth to become better so that we stop ruminating on our past. That's not our identity. If you're over 30, I've seen a meme that says if you're over 30 and you're still blaming your family, now it's up to you. You are the family. It's your responsibility. Because healing requires responsibility. In lesson 20, I would say have the audacity to go after what you desire. Me, the fact that I'm on this podcast, that's exactly what I'm doing. And everything that I'm aiming to do in 2026, I'm going for everything as if I deserve to get it. Big, better, bolder. I have no limitations. I'm going to every room like I own that place. And the room that intimidates me, you the most, often is your perspective the most. So I'm telling you, belonging starts with courage. Get into those rooms. Say the things you want to say. Be bold enough to stand for what you stand for. Let me tell you, what you think other people know better than you, you would be shocked. That the moment you start speaking, that people will actually realize that you have something to offer. And you know what? The more confident you become about the things that you have in mind. And you know the challenge that a lot of people are discouraged to honestly speak out and seek opportunities sometimes is that we don't immerse ourselves with information. Keep expanding your knowledge, read books, do your research, listen to podcasts, sensible podcasts like this one. But at the same time, just gather information so that when people are having conversations about subjects, you're an equal contributor. It can't be the only thing that you know is online memes and probably what you do for a living. Life is way more than that. And people connect with people who seem like they've got information and value to give. So gather knowledge because that is what is going to give you the confidence to speak and the courage and the boldness. That's usually the gap. And so invest in that this year. Lesson 21, the paradox. The paradox is this, that when I accept myself as I am, then I can change, which is exactly what I was talking about earlier. Think about this. When I can accept myself as I am, then I can change. I think self-awareness is a first step to change. If you want to make a difference, if you want to be better, you must first of all accept where you are, then begin the work to become better. I gave an analogy to someone the other day, and I said, if let's say I'm currently sitting in this room and the ceiling is, I'm going to say maybe 300 meters above me. I'm exaggerating. I don't think that's the case. But my height is around, I'm 5'5", so I'm around 171 or something, if I'm not wrong. If I wanted to make sure that I could reach the top of the ceiling, if I underestimate how tall I am, I will not jump high enough to touch the ceiling. But if I'm realistic about how tall I am, I would know the gap between me and the ceiling to make the appropriate jump to touch the ceiling. Why am I giving you this analogy? I'm saying this analogy to help you realize that being able to know and accept where you are is the first step. It makes you know, not make false assumptions about how people see you and how you actually are. It's good to be delusional about the kind of person that we are trying to be, but it's also important to be realistic about where we are so that we do the appropriate delusional work, if you want to call it that way. But being able to accept that this is where I'm lacking and these are the areas for me to make improvement makes a better growth process journey for you than you making assumptions that you're a perfect person, you've got no mistakes, and progress becomes a challenge. So in lesson 22, be mindful of what you collect, especially emotionally. Not everything rare is valuable. And for women especially, discernment is wisdom, not hardness. Don't forget that. In lesson 23, emotional safety matters more than chemistry. So chemistry can excite you, safety can sustain you, but if honesty costs you your peace, that's not intimacy. I know some of us take compromises. Somehow they're always made excuses. This, I'm only saying it from my own point of view. These are my lessons. As I've said, set high standards for yourself. You never go wrong with those. Love that requires self-betrayal is not love. My lesson 24. Love that requires self-betrayal is not love. It says in Proverbs 4:23, the Bible says that above all else, guard your heart. Guard your heart. Meaning, please make sure you look after self, not in a selfish way, but care for self. Do not abandon self for somebody else, because self-betrayal has a cost. And as I said in one of the lessons up there, self-betrayal is a painful process. So love that requires self-betrayal is not love. Food for thought. Now, obedience for lesson 25. Obedience often looks unimpressive before it looks fruitful. Faithfulness precedes fruitfulness. Luke 16:10 says that whoever is faithful with little will be faithful with much. If you're in a season where you feel like you don't have much, honor God with your little. I remember a few years ago when I first moved here, a friend of mine, when I used to live in a shared apartment. Can we say that? It's no longer illegal. I'm not staying there anymore. We used to live in Marina. And I remember my roommate and I, when we first moved to like the last apartment that I ever shared, my roommate said, we used to leave lights on at times. And because we used to do this because in the bill, we never used to pay utility bills separate. We used to pay like a consolidated bill that was standard every month. And I remember one of the days my roommate and I just sat down and we told each other that we need to honor the home as though we were the ones that were paying for everything. That if this was our house, would we be leaving the lights on or the heater on so that the bill can, spike? And it's at that time that I realized we're asking God sometimes for so many things, and the little things that God has entrusted us with, we're not even diligent. You want a promotion, and the job that you have that doesn't have such a big title, unless you're supervised, you don't work. Unless the boss is there, you don't show up on time. Being able to just be diligent, honor the process and the phase that you're in opens door to more. And because the reality is, to him whom much is given, much is required. So you have to realize that what you're actually being prepared for with the little is because what lies ahead is so much more and would require so much of you. So you build character before the stage comes. Because if the stage comes and your character is not built, it is better to fall when there are only two people watching you than fall on a stage. Very embarrassing. But for the last lesson, I know we've all gone to school, but let me tell you guys, if you have a degree, one of those certificates, in fact, an MBA or whatever, those are good accolades. We need those to get into offices. But we're in a season where skills are so much more important. Your degree trained you for a world that no longer exists, guys. Like, the world is changing. Everyone now is vibe coding. Everyone who didn't do programming now can create an application in less than an hour. As they say, for cybersecurity guys like us, we're more concerned about the security of the application. But I can tell you, your mindset determines whether you will adapt in this season. And therefore, I want to end this episode by telling you that, family, you have been a sport towards 2025. And I'm actually grateful that you stuck through it and engaged, shared, commented, and I'm really, really excited for the journey ahead. But I want to plug you on something. I'm doing a giveaway, so make sure that you watch to the end, because if you're watching this, if you haven't reached here, you clearly don't know there's a giveaway. But also, this is going to be on my social media, so you have to watch this episode to the end. Like, share, and subscribe as well. Go and watch the episodes of the books that I'm actually giving away this week. To finish season 2 and bring in season 3, I'm giving away 3 copies of 2 books. One by Victoria, and One by Kathleen. Those 2 books, we discussed them in season 1. So first of all, make sure you watch those episodes, and then comment in the comment section once you've watched the episodes and tag me. I'm going to leave all the instructions for you to get a copy, or you could get someone a copy for this book as part of the Valentine gifts. So thank you for being a sport, and as usual, like, share, and subscribe. Season 3 starts next week, so we're going all in, back to back, and we're going deeper, stronger, and clearer. If this episode resonated with you, and if any of the lessons I've mentioned, you want to add something, or there's something you feel like a lesson that I haven't mentioned, or also if you disagree, please engage me in the comment section. I love you guys, and I appreciate, and see you in season 3. And look out for what we're doing in 2026. I'm really excited. Thank you. Gotta love, gotta love, gotta love, gotta love.